Hi, my name's Steve Hodgson. This is from Modern Asset Management. It is November 23rd, 2021. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all. And tonight I wanted to talk about safety. And don't get scammed. Don't get scammed. I've been scammed a couple of times, one in a really big way. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how that happened to me. And I always try to tell people my mistakes so that maybe they don't make them. Um, what prompted me to think about this was this article. This is a month ago in the Orange County Register, and real estate agent accused of running a $14 million house flipping Ponzi scheme. His name is Brett Barber, and the company's BNZ Capital One. And I met this guy. I've got an office down in Orange County. I've got family down there. I've been down in that part of the world for more than 45 years now. And Newport Beach, or the Irvine, John Wayne Airport area, is a hotbed of fixed income investment. It is where all the big fintech companies have offices. There's billions and billions of dollars floating around that little 5 mile circle, maybe. And there's some bad guys. And people don't always start out trying to be a bad guy. People can start out thinking they're excited and they're onto something and this is going to be the big thing. And or maybe they go to these investor guru classes where the first thing they get taught is OPM, other people's money. Take money from investors. Go find 401k or retirees that are getting 0.1% in the bank and offer them 5 and they'll fill your coffers. And that's great. Oh, good, here, more people coming. And that's great. You know, if you really know what you're doing and you want to grow a business, you want to help people, there's nothing wrong with taking other people's money. I've taken investor money off and on for years and years. But with that comes an awful lot of responsibility. So I try to discourage people from being this guy, right? If you were looking to, you know, we've all heard that passive income is the way to go. Well, we'll get to a slide about that. I'm focused more not on passive income, but on tax advantaged income through retirement accounts, through my C corporation, which has a much lower tax rate, and through capital gain. I take the minimum tiny amount of W-2 wages, and that's going to stop again. I took a little paycheck last year. But anyway, so here's this guy who goes out and gets investors, local retirees and friends and family and people he meets in coffee shops, because I've been at those meetings with people in coffee shops who have asked me for $500,000. What? No. Anyway, and he then it all fell apart and he burned a bunch of people. But in his history, it says in here in 2019 is where this problem started. But in 2012, he ran afoul of FINRA. And in 2015, the Department of Business Oversight, which governs me as a California lender, denied Mission Advisory Services an application because of a prior disciplinary action. And yet, people still gave him $14 million. Folks, Google, right? Google, and be careful. And so, so you can, but there's people that are the right people, and there's places to find the right people. This is not a pitch for this partnership, but this is this is an example of the kinds of things that I like to do. And this is a property in Tucson. It's a 300 unit garden style apartment building built in the complex, built in the 1980s. It had been left in its original condition until purchased a year plus ago by a company up in, they have an office in Seattle and in Arizona. Folks that are better at this than I am. And I've got results from prior REITs that they're better at it than I am. They've been in business for 20 plus years and been through a couple of crashes and never lost any investor money. That didn't mean that people didn't get their, sometimes people didn't get their preferred return and deals went bad, and 2009 happened, and and the world was bad. But there's, when I look to figure out where to put money, the easy thing for me to do, if I had any sense, I would just go and follow my friend Bill. Bill's 80 some years old. Bill has been investing in these types of investments since he retired as a managing partner at Cooper's Lybrand in San Francisco. He was a big time accountant. But these folks, again, these folks have been at it for 20 years, and it's so boring. Every quarter I get a check for like, a 3.5% annualized return because they feel like they have to send people some money. But what happened, of course, is they went in and forced appreciation, which is something I understand. It's something I do. I buy crummy houses, fix them up, and rent them out for more than they were to begin with. Except these folks do it 300 at a time, right? So they buy a 1980s apartment building complex, unit by unit. They go in and put it's all brand new in the inside. One of the biggest things they do is put washer dryers, stacking washer dryers in them, and they raise the rent from $800 to $1,300. So you go from 800 times 300, 2.4 million, to 800 times 1,300. I don't know, 4 million, something like that. And they hold them and pay nice dividends. And sometimes they will sell one and buy another, and you get to 1031 your investment. And I had the money that came into this started at a multiple, use one as the original multiple, and I 1031'd into it. Each dollar was worth $2.3 when I moved it over. So in 5 years, $1 investment went to $2.30. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I hit that button. Typically, my returns are in the high teens because of the type of niche that we work in. But I've had some stellar home runs over the last couple of years, and not all of them are of my own making. We're in a real estate climate right now where everybody is a genius. And those of you who've heard me before, in December of 2006, I was a genius. I sold a building in Northern California I bought a building and then I sold it. I bought a building for $750,000. I sold it for 2.1 million. I 1031 that money into a $5 million shopping center in Denver, Colorado. That $5 million shopping center in a year and 3 months went from $5 million to 2.3 in valuation. So that went down by more than half, right? And I kind of knew what I was doing, right? I've been at this by that point, I've been at it for 10 or 15 years. I had some experience, and I couldn't fight the 2009 crash, right? I just wasn't, I didn't see, I was one of the people that didn't see it coming. I rode that, and it took me 9 years to get back to positive on that. get the place rented up and sell it. These guys had problems. All their investors got paid. They sat on stuff for years and they came out just fine too. But the article, I waved the article, it didn't work for this guy in the frothiest, happiest market you're ever going to find. So try to make the short story not quite so long. When I talk to people about what they're investing, that want money, so what were you doing in 2008? What happened? Did your investors get paid? And what's going on now? How levered are you now? All that kind of stuff. One of the things that when I get grumpy, and sometimes I do, I say, let's swap tax returns. Let's swap tax returns, and funny, nobody wants to do that. So I have many good friends that are running small funds that treat their people really well, that put their investor first. The investor eats first. And so it can be done. But I just came out of another small REIT where the manager took his eye off the ball. He moved on. It was I put some money into not a shopping center, a mobile home park in Wisconsin, and it was a value add play. There was space to build more units, and that didn't happen. The park manager stole money. There was this, there was that, there was COVID. It was just not. It was messy. And that investor started selling Bitcoin. So he went off to go do that, and took his eye off of my ball. That turned out okay. I mean, that turned out okay. $1 there turned into $1.60 in 4 years. That's an imputed 12% return. That's all right. But I like stuff like this. And I seem to really like stuff like this. Right. Ladesha's on the call. Hi, Ladesha. We like stuff like this. Ladesha and I like stuff like this.
Hello everyone.
This is hey. This is a basic brick house in Pensacola, Florida. That we bought the house. It was in distress. It did not look this pretty. We fixed it. We rented it. We sold it to the tenant, who still owns the house now. 6 years, I think. 6 years she's been paying down this mortgage. I sold. What I did, because I'm busy and I can't help myself. We wrote 2 mortgages. We wrote a first and a second. And so let's go. And sometimes we talk about notes. So let me just talk about notes for a minute here. So I wrote a, what was it? $56,000 first and a $13,000 second. Maybe it was 50,000. So anyway, 2 numbers. I wrote the first note. Let's call it 50. Let's 50. It was 9% interest, like an $875 a month payment. So whatever the number worked out to be to make it about 9 years. And I stacked my second behind it at $13,000. And will sit there for 9 years and then start taking the $875 payments will then move over to this loan. So it's sitting there earning interest at 10%. And it'll come due when I'm, I think 72, 71, something like that. Thinking that a $900 a month, check when I'm 71 would be a good thing. So that's why I did that. The person I sold the mortgage to, I made sure that they had it at a good servicer that charged a fair price. It sits at Allied. I think they charge $15 a month to babysit the account. I check on taxes every year because I've got a second and I want to make sure that the taxes are paid. But this this is the boring part. I often talk here about the exciting things, which are all the things that go wrong. So I wanted to talk, so my topic today was don't get scammed. What should we avoid? What have what's, how do you tell, for me, it's the greed button. If I start to get giggly about something, I probably shouldn't do it, so anyway, so the floor is open. What's new? Oh, John asked us, how is it accruing interest right now? That's the way I wrote the loan. I wrote the loan that it would accrue interest. And so that $13,000 note will be $33,000 principal and interest. If it had all been put together in one loan, it would still have the same financial cost to the borrower. This money would be sitting there accruing interest if it was all in one note. It was an experiment I was doing to see if I liked it. Typically what I'll do is I'll write a first and a second that'll run concurrently. Payments are coming on both. And so I'll keep both, or I'll sell one, and then I recover some capital, and then I keep my profit. Typically I try to make the second be my profit. Back when I did this, the idea of putting things away for a long time seemed good. And so John says, does a 33 mortgage start after the other one is satisfied? Yes, it does. So it's a $13,000 principal and bunch of deferred interest. But they were written and docked at the same time. So the title company attorney was okay with it. I did check on, was I being predatory? Was I being usurious? Was I following Florida rule? So it is something I've had to defend in other conversations too. How can you do that? Put something away for that long? If you look at inflation on that, so that's pretty good. So she does not have to pay two mortgages at the same time. That's right. Basically I split the mortgage in three quarters are paid in this mortgage and 1/4 is paid in this mortgage later on. And the downside of doing that is it doesn't really take into account inflation. I'm thinking that note's staying on there at 10% interest. Inflation is 3%. I'm ahead of the game. It's great. What's happened to housing prices during COVID? Right. This was a $40,000 purchase, sold on total terms of $70,000, and this house is worth $130 now. So I missed out on that. What I just did a transaction this last week. Well, it hasn't closed yet. We have an agreement. We have a contract where I retain a 50% interest in the upside of the property. I have a 50%. It's a shared appreciation note where I have a sale amount, a reasonable interest, a reasonable payment, and I get to keep half of the profits at a base number. And we did that to make sure that we created a mortgage payment. I sold it to an investor. I sold the house to an investor. And we did this so that the mortgage payment was manageable, that the tenant could pay the mortgage. So we have a $500 a month mortgage on a house that will rent for $900. So it is self-funding. The investor gets the value of the pay down of the property, right? And we have, so the pay down of the property, they get to include any costs that come up along the way, if there's a new roof from a storm, that kind of thing. but the appreciation is something that we now, I'm looking for the opposite side of this. You know, how could I do this again? Are we going to continue to see 15% property values increase year over year? Not in a straight line, but we still haven't solved the shortage of housing. And I believe in this house. I believe in that apartment building that we looked at, because that's where regular folks live, and it's regular folks are the folks I understand. I'm done playing high flying building mansions and Beverly Hills and all that stuff. That was bad on my heart. So feedback. This is the part where people jump in.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I'm tired.
No.
So my question, Steve, is that what you just did with that
In your
particular
opinion,
house,
how should,
similar to what we did on Daspit?
It is similar to what we did on Daspit. Daspit, we got to do all the bells and whistles in Daspit. There's a couple of episodes of me telling the Daspit story, and we're not done, right? We're gonna have way
Right.
more stories out of that.
Yeah, we have a ways to go.
Yeah, we're gonna take that little house and it's gonna pay again and again and again. But yeah, it was the same. It was the same kind of thing. It was an investor trying to get some equity going, trying to build some future. And we had a useful house that had just lost a tenant, and it needed some muscle. It needed a little scrubbing. The investor will put in maybe $10,000 in getting it completely up and running. And it's like that house that just looked at. It's a little bit smaller. It's a 1,000 square feet, 1950s cinder block construction, large level lot, in a pretty decent neighborhood. It's one of the worst houses on the street. But the investor has a use for it. The investor has other houses under lease option that he needs to work at getting converted to exercising. And this was a way for him to get something on his balance sheet that would help him with financing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So
hey,
back
Steve,
on,
can you hear me?
yeah. Hey, Darren.
Hey, I got a question for you. I mean, going back to your scam topic, you know, I had a year of a scam experience last year, and just wanted to hear your thoughts on how you recommend you vet someone. I partnered with someone in Texas to do flips. He was basically the boots on the ground, supposed to oversee the contractors and whatnot. And, you know, I believe the guy was knowledgeably defrauding people. But he also he was grossly incompetent with the stuff.
Yeah. So like when I started, yeah.
Met people.
Yeah.
I'm pausing here because I'm going through some mountain roads, but hopefully you understood what I said.
Yeah. And so, was this joint venture in notes or in hard assets in real estate?
It was a flip in Dallas.
All right, so it's a flip. So those of you that are new don't know that I've spent 41 years in credit and collections, and half of that owning collection agencies. So I should be way more suspect than I am. I'm still an easy fish sometimes. Yeah, it's just I just trust people. You know, I just do. So first, he was in Texas. Texas is an entirely pro-debtor state. You can't take things, you can't take money from, you can't go get a judgment and take money from people, but you can take property. It's very weird. I can't garnish your wages, but if I own a mortgage on a house you're in, I can take the house back in 3 weeks. It just doesn't make sense. But so how do I, when I go looking for people, and I really try to, just funded a deal today that I didn't look as deep as I normally do. And what I've done to protect me is I now have an underwriter. We've added an underwriter. I've got a kid that he's got a fresh financial degree from San Diego. He's just, I mean, if I can hang on to this kid for 5 years, I'll make him a millionaire. It's just, oh my God, this kid's got everything. So we go diving into a deal, and we haven't done enough public record searching. And I went as far as, I know the house, I know where he lives, I know the house that he lives in, I know how much his mortgage is, I know he's got about $300,000 in equity in the house. I know he has a pending $500,000 loan coming from the SBA, and he needs a little bridge loan. He's did I search public records in surrounding counties? No. Did I run his name in? So if I'm looking for a flipper, I'm going to run his name in that county, ask him what other counties he's been in, and I'm going to look to see how many transactions. I'm going to look to see if if he's walked away from stuff, if there's been quit claims, if there's mortgages. There was a guy out of Florida, Canadian out of Florida, who was getting people to give him money to buy notes, and he just didn't have any experience. He went through one of those guru classes from a guy down in Texas, and he just learned how to raise money. He didn't learn how to do the work. He just knew how to go get money. The flips never finish on time, right? I mean, like if you have one that does, it's just astonishing.
Yeah, mine didn't by a long shot.
Yeah, if it's going to be done in 6 months, well, let's start with figuring out a year and a half. I mean, especially if it's in California. I mean, just I've got a couple in Pensacola with folks that are family that haven't gotten done on time because, well, there was a hurricane. Okay, okay. So John's asking is how does the underwriter protect me? The underwriter protects me by using the rules, my rules that I ignore. Right? I'll just say, I've got a feel for this. And the team says, no. And we've developed we're working, getting closer and closer to, I hunt, I fish, they pull it in. I fish, they pull it in. And see if they want to keep it, right? Sometimes they've said no, and then I've gone and kept it myself. But my company now has first right of refusal on any harebrained idea that I come up with. Some of them are really good. Some of them are marvelous. LaDacia is going to be fantastic.
Yes, I am.
Yes, she already is fantastic. So she is. So where's the history, right? So if we go back to the first picture of that apartment complex, that's my third deal with them. The first one, $1 went in, $2.30 went out. And so then, that's going well. So I put some money in another one, and that's cooking right along. And then they sold deal number one. And so my $1 in deal number one is now $2.30 in deal number two. And they're better at it than me. They're better, so how do we make sure that somebody's better at it than me? And then it's the why me? right? Why, how did you get to me and you want my money? Right? People want to give me money because I, talk and I'm old, right? But, are you a contractor? No, you're not a contractor. Okay, that's probably good. How many have you done before? Let me see your book of business. Let me see. I
Yeah,
don't.
in my case, he said he was a contractor. He had a contractor's license, and I verified that. And then the projects that he was doing them with partners under various LLCs, depending on the partner. So it was difficult to trace that work and trace the validity of the work. And myself, and then these other people, I find out that there's probably I don't know, 10 or a dozen other people who were affected as well.
Yeah.
In my case, for instance, I learned that I should have found out the properties and found the LLCs that they were owned by, and then had him produce documents that proved that he was a part of that LLC, and then I could at least track the results of those particular flips.
Mhm.
There were people. There was a Secret Service guy that was in the family of us who got scammed by this guy, and he claimed to be a contractor and he had the contractor's license, but he was just incompetent doing the actual work. And I'm thinking that he got the contractor's license to try to give some credibility to his story, when in fact he had very little intention of doing anything successful. At one point during COVID, he abandoned the project. He told me he was going to Mexico to find his kidnapped brother. In Mexico. I hear from another investor later that he supposedly found him after 3 weeks. But for me, he was saying, well, I'm still looking for him. And oh, by the way, I'm working on a deal to manufacture masks. So I don't know. I'm kind of rambling here, but I'm just kind of throwing out a series of events that happened.
So you're still in this deal?
I'm out now after a healthy loss. He abandoned the project, and I was left holding the bag, and I didn't have any local resources. So it took me time to find contractors to backfill. And, I don't know how to, it was very difficult for me to vet those contractors remotely. Travel was difficult because of COVID, of course. Fortunately, I came across a fantastic real estate agent who really helped bridge that gap, but I lost several months, a lot of months, against which I was making hard money payments before I found the contractors. Contractors finished the job. I wouldn't use them again because I didn't think the quality of the work was where it should be, but at least we got the project finished.
Okay, so let's take a couple of questions. John asked one that I was heading toward. He wanted to know, how did the two of you hook up, and what made this transaction so attractive? And then a little bit back from that, if we step up a little higher, what's the overarching goal? What are you trying to achieve? I am really guilty of chasing short-term returns when all I should be thinking about is long-term capital gains paying me now that I'm old, right? So, but I'm still like, let's go buy something, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Why him? Why him?
So I met him.
You want to say who he is? Am I going to know who this is?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't want this. This is all.
Yeah, this is going out live. So yeah. Okay. So yeah. So maybe don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can let me know later if you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in my case, I met him at a seminar, a financial seminar, and we were able to talk over a period of 3 days of the seminar, and someone else was at the same table as us, and it turns out he was another investor that kind of got sucked in. But he was working as a flipper in Dallas. I like the Dallas market, and I wanted someone local who could execute the work, and I would be the money person. I would vet the property itself, make sure that I agreed with the potential. I put together the models to determine profitability and expenses and whatnot. I needed him to tell me what needed to be done, and then of course coordinate the work and make sure it got done. So my goal was flipping in a market that was appreciating really pretty well, and my conversations, my time with him led me to believe that he was trustworthy.
So why? So where do you live?
I live in Southern California.
Oh, okay.
Torrance.
All right. So you're okay. So we're when I'm down there, I'm in south of Irvine. So I'm down by the airport.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So it's having done, I don't know how many of these transactions just like this, I'm coming around to what is it that I'm really trying to do. If your picture is current, you've got another 25 years of runway before you before you have to slow down. And it's, for me, it's I haven't really been systematic in putting together the building blocks to get me to this goal. My goals are quarterly, annual. This week I'm really short-term thinking, and I've had to get people around me that have a longer view, right? That say, no, you wanted to build a book. I want to build a book of business in Alexandria, Louisiana. Why? Because you can acquire property way under certainly California prices. You can buy 10 houses for what you can get one house in California. I can get 4 times the rent multiple. And if I do it right, I only have to stop by once every year or two to say hi, right? I don't have to do anything else. I get to do what it is that I'm supposed to do, which is start stuff and then let other people finish, right? And again, you're doing a flip. You're looking at ordinary income. And
that's right. I'm looking at this. Yeah, I'm looking at this to fund longer term, to help fund longer term investments. I tend to be a long-term multifamily holder. I've made some recent investments in notes and in self-storage. So generally speaking, I'm looking at a longer term, but this was a means of generating capital to spend, to use for those other asset classes.
Right. So we're chasing a bigger return, but we're also we're doing the same thing. We're chasing a bigger return, but we're going to have to then pay a bigger chunk of tax on it because it's ordinary income. I keep that stuff in the C Corp because it's in there at a 21% tax rate if I take it out. But all we're doing is we're reinvesting. We're building a book that way, and it's work. It's a job. It's a job.
I'm doing the same thing. These the LLCs that own the property are owned by my C Corp.
Okay. So we both, because I need to have other people join me, is how do I get more focused and say, I'm going to do this hedge for this, I'm going to do this hedge for that. I still believe in real estate, but does it always have to be, a fix and flip? Can it be a REIT? What's the other ways that I can do that? Can I do land? Nobody likes land. I like land. There's nothing to fix, right? There's nothing to fix. So I've been funding purchases, the land purchase, and somebody else is doing the house. I've been funding the contractor, right? But then I've got a piece of dirt. I have a $35,000 lot that has a $50,000 value. I'm naked for a little bit until the house starts to get built, and then I'm okay, right? Then I'm okay. There'll be a $250,000 construction loan ahead of me. But when it gets to the finish line, it's going to be all right. I've been lucky in those deals that have run over because the market has brought the housing prices up. So I've made outsized profits, not because we were any good, actually because we were late. Right? I've got a project in the Midwest that we were going to sell for 130, that now it's going on market for 180. Right? Fantastic. That's great. But when it went over, I had penalties in the contract with the on the ground flipper that they get capped. Now they get capped. He gets 10%. Oh well, he didn't get done on time.
That's a great technique. I like that idea.
Yeah, it cost you. I charged my brother-in-law 5 points for a loan rewrite. Okay. But don't you?
Yeah.
That took some conversation. It's like, dude, it was in the contract. I told you I was going to do this to you, and I told you were going to be late. So.
Do you still talk?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're in 6 deals right now. Yeah. We don't need as many partners as we think. Right? If I'm going to go look for another apartment REIT, there's only one place I'm going to go look. I've already found the one guy I need. Right? I don't have that much money. Putting $100,000 into a $30 million REIT project is, I'm 2%, 1%. But what are the things I believe in? I believe in apartments. I believe my phone. So that's that. I guess what I'm saying is we need to be careful. We need to do. We don't need to do as much as we think we need to do, I think. And we need to find things that are repeatable, right? I'm 30 notes from the same source, 1,000 medical loans from the same doctor's group, more than a dozen projects in Pensacola, 4 projects with LaDacia, and but it's this David, your guy is the same guy that would be in an article somewhere else. So, I took people's money and I didn't do so hot. And then I kept taking people's money because I had to cover up the money I was losing on other deals. Right. I see in the note space, so many people starting up and suddenly teaching classes, with a year's experience, 2 years experience. Everybody's a genius today. Everybody's making money. You can, go buy the worst thing ever, and somebody will give you twice as much for it in 6 months.
Said, I've had enough. I'm going to find somebody else. And I did find somebody else. And that person was recommended to me by another, what they call Lonnie dealers in the manufactured home park industry. And and he turns out to be really good. I feel constantly that he's there with me, and he's going to start doing the remodel on a home that's been sitting there now for 4 months. Nothing happened.
Okay, let's back up just for a second. You've been using an industry term, and we had a question about what's a Lonnie deal. So Lonnie deals are taken from a guy named Lonnie Scruggs, who was doing this kind of real estate back, well, not quite real estate. He was doing chattel mortgages back in the 70s and 80s. And you have a mobile home park that has units that are paying lot rent or not paying lot rent because they're vacant, and somebody comes in and will buy that mobile home at a discount, sometimes fix it up, sometimes, Often they'll just sell it right away on terms and let the new owner fix it up. So they're taking can you just go over what the numbers were? What was the entry and what's the exit and the terms you expect?
Actually, I can't because I really don't know, because I did another thing where I had him, the homes are bought in to the park and need to be set up and all that. That was not my original idea. And I didn't really want to do that, but I sort of fell into that by default, which again is, I think the park owner and I are both really learning the business, and that's what's happening. And I'm actually okay with that, even though it's not going the way I want to. I still feel like I'm really learning, but it did take it didn't take too much money out of my budget. It's just that I'm not making money right now. But in the end, I feel like my learning curve was so steep and everything that could go wrong did go wrong, that I'll probably won't make those same mistakes again.
Mhm. Right.
So I really don't. That's why I actually approached you, Steve, because I wanted to discuss some of those things with you.
Okay, well, we'll try to get this done. Let's get this done the week after the week after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and discuss my figures with you, and yeah.
So the idea, so I did a Lonnie, I've done a Lonnie deal. I bought a mobile home in high desert, California for $3,500. We over improved it. We were net maybe 13,000, including paying the lot rent for a couple of months. I sold it for 18, 17, 15, something like that. And it's a lesson that I didn't carry forward. I should not run a flip. I should be the money guy and get out of the way. I over improved this mobile home so much. It was a palace. It was marvelous. The people that are there, it was just, I made it, and never mind. It was up in Yucca Valley. It's just, anyway,
Happens, yeah.
fine. It was fine. There's a way you fix mobile homes, and it matters what the year of the age of the mobile home. Outside of that, it's making habitat. It's just clean, well lit, go. So.
Yeah, let's talk about it more offline out like that.
Yeah. So, but it is a common place for folks to come into real estate. I'm more enamored with mobile homes on land, which is something that comes with old age, because I'm looking for capital gains. Right. I'm not looking for lot rent. This is going to come out wrong. I don't need income. What I need is tax advantaged income. Right. Right. So I need to fill up my 401k. I need to fill up my long-term capital gains. I want a 1031 forever. I want a 1031 house into house and a house and a house until I die. And then the basis steps up and the kids get money tax-free. Yay. Right. I don't want my kids to inherit money and then have, I won't. My tax rate last year was 13%. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. And I could have done better. So if you get to keep 85 cents of the dollar you made, you don't need that many dollars.
Okay, got it.
Right. So
Lots to learn. Yes, thank you.
yeah, well, I've paid ridiculous tax bills over the years. Just absurd. Anyway, I'm going to check time. Okay, we're coming up on the hour. which is my hard stop these days since I'm supposed to be getting rest. So we got any other questions? I appreciate John sticking in a couple of questions in the box. Welcome, Kenny, first time here. If you found me through YouTube, you know what's up there. But if you haven't found me through YouTube, you can find that at just my name, Steve Hodgson. David, ever need anything? I'm sure you've got my email address at some point. Sandra, chase me down next week. Right. Tuesday's not good. Just chase me down. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't have your phone number, so that's one reason why I didn't chase you down.
Oh, well, we'll fix that when I get back up to the other desk. I'm trying out a new room, trying out a new home office room tonight. So it's there's nothing on the wall. So when I get back up to the desk, it's there. It's on the right-hand side over where I keep my coffee cup with a little stack of other Post-it notes. So,
Cool.
okay, I'll get there. All right.
I know you will.
Okay. Nice to see everybody.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thanksgiving.
Good to hear from you
Thanks,
again.
Steve.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for
Happy
having me.
Bye.
Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Hey, by the way, Steve, I
Nice
just
to
wanted to
meet
share.
everyone.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to share. I found you through my company, New York Life.
Did you? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, thank
they actually advertise through there. So good stuff.
Oh,
Appreciate
that's funny. That's very funny.
There you go.
So
it.
I don't understand this. I'm old. I don't understand this whole internet thing. How does this work? How do it's like I get like 12,000 minutes a month of people watching my stuff. Like I get like 800 people viewing. I mean, like for this, so
Well, sure,
Anyway.
sure. This is great stuff. It's all about education,
Yeah.
bringing knowledge to those who don't know and need to know.
yeah,
This is very good stuff.
and I've paid for some very expensive seminars, and I'd like to save you guys from having to take the same ones.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Everybody have a good night.
Bye,
See you next month.
everybody.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
night.